Well, welcome back. It's April, beginning of April, something. It's raining out. Um, Business wise, we're still pushing. We had a decent weekend this weekend. Uh, we haven't got paid for it yet, but I have confidence it's coming. But we signed 5 events for a client. Um, so that company is gonna be pretty happy about it. Anyway, I think I want to talk about elderberry farms. I have a willow ranch. I'm going to talk. What I'm going to do is I'm going to talk a couple about the willow ranch and a couple about elderberry farms, and then I'm going to talk about 2 events. Since we did them July and August, we did them many years in a row. We're going to talk a little bit about Hooly Doo and Michigan Peace Fest. So we'll hold off on some of those stories. Um, and I haven't put out the very first time we were at Willow Ranch. I'm not sure if I like the video. Normally, I don't care. I just do them and put them out, and that's it. But this one, I don't know. But anyway, um, Daniel Green, he was one of the originals from the Willow Ranch, had a property that he got or inherited or whatever, and he named it Elderberry Farms. And they wanted to do events there. They've had some events, like they did something that was called Hog Bash or something, but I think that was for the person, a relative or whatever, owned it before Dan Green did. But they used to have these things called Hog Bash there, which was basically like heavy metal, motorcycles and stuff. And but so working many years with Ben Willow at the Willow Ranch, and believe me, they're gonna make a movie. They'll make a Ben Willow, a Willow Ranch kind of movie, and obviously Dan Green, who was a big part of the Willow Ranch, would be in it also. But they shared events for a couple years, for the sake of their neighbors. Like one year, the Willow Ranch would host the Michigan Peace Fest and Hooly Doo, and then the next year, Elderberry did. But Elderberry had a set of other events in it as well. One of the things I like doing, sorry about the sniffles, one of the things I like doing, or I like about events is, especially if the property's beautiful, and the Willow Ranch is beautiful. Absolutely beautiful. It's one of the few places that, my feet vibrate, when you get on the property. It's weird. Gettysburg is the only other place that I've had that. So, um, Elderberry is a little bit smaller, but it's a natural bowl, almost like, not the size of a Red Rock or anything like that, but you know how it's a natural um, thing. And what was cool about Elderberry is, um, Dan Green was very easy to work with, but the property was like the highest and the lowest points in this particular county. So you could stand on the main hill where they had the majority of the vendors, and you can look out, and you're actually looking over the event area. It seems like you're way up there, but you're really not. And then you can see the back end of the property where the outer bowl was, where they'd have camping and stuff like that set up. And I think I have some pictures somewhere. Maybe I'll post it on here. Um, I did post some like 2 years ago or last year of Jeff Donaldson. He was one of my guys who worked a lot of these. We used to have put the cameras, and this was like before they actually started making cameras for this kind of stuff. But we used to try to put cameras on, the golf carts or the 4-wheelers, because you never know um, if something will happen, or it's always good to have backup, especially if you're by yourself or something, handling an incident. But anyway, there's a couple out, and they have the horse. Now we didn't do every event at Elderberry. We did all the bigger ones. They did a couple. I'm trying to remember the name of them, but they did some really, really cool things, like where they actually built a Trojan horse and burnt it. I'm talking full size, 20, 30 feet in the air Trojan horse, and then they did a Zeppelin. I think the next year, and so we didn't really do that event, um, which is kind of the problem. Elderberry had these people. See, there's two things that I always used to tell property owners is, be careful who you call family, and be careful um, who you tell, my property is your home. People can't handle that. A lot of people can't handle that responsibility or power, and that's what happened at Elderberry Farms. That there was people that were part of the family, and they're the ones who were doing all the stuff there, and the reason why it eventually closed. It could have stayed open, but Dan didn't really have the funds to fight it. We fought the township with him on a couple times and won. Um, anyway, we won't talk about too much about that, but the biggest downfall to Elderberry was some of the people on it, and they know who they are. They're the ones who are consistently selling stuff that they shouldn't have been. They were consistently, robbing people. I don't mean like physically robbing them, but breaking into their tents and stuff like that. And over the years, we got those people out. But then through the off season, they would go cry to Dan, and Dan was an extremely nice guy. Probably one of the kindest, forgiving persons I've ever met. They have a neighbor there, not necessarily a neighbor, but like two doors down, and this guy would do everything he can to take advantage of Dan. Even trying to take his property and kind of scum like that. You don't break on. And since Elderberry wasn't covered 24 hours a day, sneaky suspicion he was probably one of the guys going in there when everybody was gone. But anyway, we started out doing, I think it was the first Huli Do there, and then Peace Fest, and then I think we did Elderberry After Dark, I think it was called. It was like an Octoberish festival. The other thing Dan did a lot of EDM, and his neighbors weren't big fans of it. And I think if it was set up a little bit better, they might have been able to. God, my eyes hurt too. They might have been able to keep it around a little bit longer, but the neighbors would have to be bought out and stuff like that. The first Huli Do and Michigan Peace Fest went stunningly. It went great, except we had some people pull up again, trying to pay admissions, with dead raccoons, like 3 or 4 o'clock in the morning. There it goes. But then we did several events the next year there. Michigan Peace Festival, we went back to Willow Ranch. But we did a couple EDM festivals, and then we met this talented guy named Tyler Manning. He came in from Colorado, originally from Indiana, and he brought Boredom Fest there, which was a really big festival. It was a big festival, considering that I didn't think it was. It sucked. It rained most of the time, so it wasn't fantastic, but it was a good event. And the other cool thing with Elderberry, because I ended up staying up most of the overnights, is that this fog would roll in, and would roll in from this back corner. It'd be like a wave, and it'd be moving all over everything, and it would come rolling in like 1:30, 2 o'clock in the morning, and be gone by 4. But it would just soak everything there. In Elderberry, in its past life, it was a pig slop farm. It's where they used to dump all the pig shit. So the first year was kind of rough there, but the fog was awesome, and I wasn't thinking enough back then. If I would have push more of the YouTube thing in, or maybe have a guy that would just do nothing but film, we probably could have got some pretty cool stuff on tape. We didn't really have any big incidents there. I think there was a couple times they had to take a person to the hospital. It wasn't a lot of, but the music and then some of the things that would happen off property, and then some of the things that would happen with the people who were on the property that were family. Um, just put the death nail into it. The last I heard, I think Dan unfortunately passed away a couple of years ago. Uh, I think there's a couple. I think his kids are trying to. I think they have it now, but I think there was a tax thing or something. I'm not sure. I don't want to say something I don't know what I'm talking about. The cool thing is that one of Dan's granddaughters is the granddaughter of Ben Willow, or the great granddaughter of Ben Willow, um, which was it's a pretty cool thing, especially when you get to know the stories about these people. But anyway, I think that's going to be it. Elderberry Farms, like I said, take a look at some of the videos. There's probably a ton out there from other people. They had some events. I can't remember. They call them burns, but it had a name for it, and then the pictures I use on the video that Jeff filmed, of him driving around on a 4-wheeler at Elderberry. That's the Trojan horse that they built just to burn. It was their burn. But I think that's it. And like I said, I don't know what order these are going to be released, but next time we'll talk a little bit more about the Willow Ranch, and then maybe we'll talk about Michigan Peace Festival and Hoodoo. But that's it. Have a good day.